Landmark because we only have third person as an option.
Right. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that aspect of it.
Now, I'm also wondering if we ever get mounts similar to the target when you're driving the mounts, as you say, with your, you're looking one way and whatever's going another.
Like a picture-in-picture?
No, it's just going to be, are you going to be, locked in on your camera where you look, you go, or is it like in combat, how you're aiming, where you're looking, but yet when you're using a tool, your mouse is all over the place. You can go any direction you want.
It's the hover rule.
So if they do a mount, I'm sure it's probably going to be something more along the lines as in weapon combat, where you're going to be steering it with your mouse. Maybe a free look on that. Don't know if it's capable.
I'm going to resort to the hover rule of PlanetSide on this. All flying and hovering vehicles have A and D or strafe, mouse aim, pretty much restricted that way. Tanks, treaded tanks, wheeled vehicles, those don't work that way. You actually have free look with the camera. I believe you can hold middle click or something and free look with any vehicle in PlanetSide. But in terms of actually looking and aiming in a different direction, the hovercraft and aircraft are not able to do that. You're only able to do that with a grounded vehicle. So I would imagine it's going to be the same thing with mounts in Landmark, because same system, same tech going to go into it. So no reason to reinvent it, at least initially. Eventually it will need to be reinvented, because the PlanetSide 2 stuff, we can't really change out anything with the vehicle while after it's been created in the world. Fortunately, I think H1Z1 has alleviated a lot of that stuff, and hopefully that tech from H1Z1 will go back to PlanetSide 2.
I just think it'll be really interesting to be fighting on top of a sandworm.
Yes. Ride the sandworm.
Because, come on, if you're going to have mounts, and you have a destructible game where you can dig through the ground, why wouldn't you have sandworms?
Because Juggernaut will shoot them down, because that's what oil is going to be doing, is flying around shooting those down, collecting the mad spice resource. So, wait, spice? Was that what they were calling it in that one movie with the spice worm?
Yeah, Dune?
Yes. Yes. The spice worm.
Yeah.
Yes. Kind of like the spice weasel from Futurama. So, actually, I missed it this year because I was too busy. Next year, I kind of want to do the Global Game Jam entry in Landmark. I'd like to actually use Landmark as the basis for game design for something that can then be, for an actual contest. Global Game Jam's got really, really loose rules. People can make all sorts of everything. Someone's made a lot of people make board games and card games and games that actually don't use any physical objects. But that would be the sort of thing for me that I'd really like to see, is people actually participating in game jams, or even when we have the tools, when we have the linking and triggering and logic and creation tools, to have in-game, in Landmark, game jams, like a month-long, best stuff you can make sort of thing, and do a judging. I would personally throw down cash and SC and stuff for prizes on that myself. That sort of stuff is exciting to me. Another thing, I've been talking about this from the very, very beginning. It's still a feature that I really want. Being able to unlock the camera from your character while you're building. Being able to freely go through walls, fly seamlessly, all of that stuff. Go to the edge of the claim and not fall off because you're flying and you're, because that's...
Yeah.
That flying stuff...
Well, say again, when they say you can fly on your own claim, my claim might be that little box, but I have that big red area around it. I should be able to fly within that, big red area as well. I can understand
I
falling
understand
out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely got to give us a buffer.
Well, actually, in that claim space, something I'd really like to see, the unclaimable land that you've kind of got property over, is that you can deploy NPC creatures, whether they're friendly to you or others, or harmful to you and others, that you actually equip them, that you actually give them their logic and their systems. So when people are getting around your claim, they might not actually go on the claim, but they might try to keep people from getting on. They might set up barricades and stuff, and that you've basically given them the permission and the know-how to do. And every now and then it's like, I was trying to go on your claim, and I got ambushed. Bunch of slugs with like sci-fi stuff just
Hey,
jump me.
that makes the world more interesting. I would love to see something like that.
I like the idea. My exception to it is limit it to claims. I see absolutely no reason why there's going to be a hard limit on the number of claims. Right now, we're in closed beta. It costs $20 to get in. They can have a limit on the claims because they have to optimize it, right? You have to have a limit.
Well, Dave said 10. That's it. All we're getting is 10. So
well, they said that, and then they said
much...
there'll be more from achievements and stuff. So they like immediately contradicted themselves. And,
I mean, it makes okay. Let me put it this way. When the game launches, they have to limit that. They really have to limit that. Why? Because between months, day 0 and 2-3 months after, you're going to have maybe a third of the player base is going to quit the game. They're going to jump in, they're going to create claims, and they're going to quit the game. So you really need to take care of that attrition rate and limit the number of claims that they have. But after that period, if 6 months, a year goes by, why would you? There's a limit on how many claims that you can practically afford. If it takes a certain amount of time in playing the game to get the coin to be able to pay for a claim, which that's how it is, or that's how it's going to be when they put the coin in, then there's a practical amount of claims that you can. There's only 24 hours in the day. You can have a bot running all day, but there's only a limited number of claims that you can run, they can control, right? So, don't leave a limit. If the person wants to pay station cash, want to have 100 claims, 200 claims, 300 claims, if you can figure out how to pay for it, and you want to pay, 2,000 plat per day to be able to take.
Then I don't know. Yeah. Then to me, that might start that Chinese gold farming type of thing. I'll sell you my plot area for $19.99. Because you'll find people like when Alpha started, islands were jam packed. There was trying to find a nice location was kind of rough.
Okay, well,
if someone had 100 lots, I'm sorry.
Why would there be a limit to the number of islands?
Well, they only have so many islands per server. Was it 50 islands per server right now?
Is that the max that they can have? I mean, if there's money coming in and people are paying for claims, and
they'll open more servers. But what I'm saying is, if somebody is taking over islands, there'd be a way to capitalize on it, locking people out of it, selling the land for real world money. I think that would lead to abuse if they didn't limit X amount of claims.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely
especially in a free-to-play game.
Right.
There's definitely a lot of like one way or the other on that. I'm going to say, though, going back to what I thought the game was going to be, initially I thought, and this might have been what they initially thought too, is that we claim a spot, we build that spot up, and then we sell that claim in position to somebody for station cash. That's initially how it sounded to me, going back to 2013, and then a lot of the stuff until we finally heard otherwise and learned otherwise when we finally got into the game. It was basically right up until we learned otherwise. I think that's how a lot of people thought it was, but they completely changed course on that. But at the same time, you can buy somebody's template, but you aren't buying that spot on that island with all the terraforming and everything. So it's kind of an interesting thing. But I think maybe once again, this is a business discussion. We definitely need to have at some point, but maybe
the business of landmark.
Maybe that'll be the show that you start up. I know you were kind of joking about doing something. I'll support it. Maybe. I'll support it.
Yeah.
The landmark working for $1.
I'd buy that for $1. From
I don't know if anybody wants to see the charts and the graphs and the stuff that I've got modeling out what how
actually market that show to the Eve community because they love that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, like just rapid fire me and to go through a few other things on the list, and I'm sure we'll stop at some point and talk about some stuff. We've got 40 minutes to go, and I've got like a bunch of little post-it notes filled front and back with notes from from the first episode, which, you know, it was just funny, just like how much I knew about things and some of the reactions I had to some of the funny things people were saying. Yeah, it was weird. I'm definitely 1,200 hours of broadcasting past that point now. So, I talked about lock side view, free unlock camera, lens shape and zoom modifiers, be able to do a fisheye lens, be able to have lens changing effects. That's actually what we're doing in my dream right now for the dizzying effect when you get hit by an arcane turret, is that your camera just kind of pulls in and out a little bit, and it's super disorienting.
Well, it'd be like the SOE emote. Like, you can have your character be drunk in game and walk around drunk. Why not make the screen blurry?
Exactly.
You know, and make it wave and make the whole thing look like you were a drunk person, but from your perspective. You know, you can see that I'm drunk, but make me believe I'm drunk.
It was actually something I was thinking about for maybe an intoxicating attack from abominations and from the affliction tree. That when you get hit from something like poison and other intoxicating effects, hallucinogenic effects, where you see enemies that aren't actually there and they aren't actually damaging you, but they're totally, you know, seem like a threat. It was El Moob. Everybody was what you were looking for. El Moob, not El Noob. Yes, it was. Just go to the announcement post if you're wondering what the hell they're talking about. I already talked about grids, 3D distance feature. Yeah, I talked about that. Reduction of upkeep. I'm not even going to talk about upkeep, because what I thought it was a year ago and what it is now and what it's going to be, it's completely diverse and changed, and it's probably going to keep changing. One thing though that's people still want, that I talked about before we got a chance to play, day-night toggles and being able to actually choose what time of day.
Why don't we have that? I don't understand why we don't have that.
It's a client-side feature they just haven't implemented for us yet.
Okay. It just seems to me like it's something that they could just flip on when they want to.
Just flip on.
Maybe it's optimization. Yeah.
No, it's coding it in the functionality. And it might be one of those things where there's no associated functionality, anything else they're building that ties in with it. So it would be something maybe they would wait on until they do a full redo of the lighting system, which I know is due at some point. You know. So it would make sense to do it, because if they redo it but the lighting system isn't complete, it still would be like, well, great, but it's still, you know, daytime brightness at the night, just underground and, you know, weird.
Yeah.
Talked about that. Weather, of course we want weather and landmark. That was one that someone asked. I was like, just do it. Of course we want weather, you know, and weathering too.
With weather,
wasn't there a bug one time on one of the patches where we got the windstorms?
Windstorms?
That sort of had that cloud around you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Remember, there was you use the pulverizer and you'd have this just wall of fog. This was like, I think it was maybe early beta, if it wasn't still even alpha at that point. I know I've got footage somewhere.
Like 3-4 months into alpha or beta or whatever it was. You know.
Yeah, I do remember that one. That one is hilarious.
Having to go around you.
I'm just curious when it comes to, because this is something that I'm kind of working on, and I've got my opinion, but I really should ask like the community. But it's one of those tough things because there's a lot of technical parts of it. But I'll ask you guys and the guys who are in the Twitch stream, when it comes to EverQuest Next, how much does it matter that, you know, the weather system makes sense? For example, there's a storm system that it rains in Kinos, and, you know, the storm system goes over to the mountains and then you know, snows in the mountains, you know. So today it's raining in Kinos, and then in a couple of hours it's snowing in the mountains of the Serpent's Spine. How much does that matter?
I actually thought Storybricks was going to be used to control the entire AI for the weather system, and that it would, not necessarily that it has a mind of its own, but there might be ways that it can not just react to natural ebb and flow and stimuli and stuff, but could be ways that it can simulate high pressure systems, low pressure systems, disturbances, something that we actually do. Maybe at some point they'll add a certain, like a really big creature that when you defeat it, it causes this giant plume of smoke, or maybe when you destroy the fiery fungi and it does the huge explosion, it causes a plume of smoke that changes what's going to go on in the weather for the next 24 hours. That sort of stuff would be lovely, and I think it's actually, from what I understood, that was actually a plan for not just the AI to be controlling that, but actually a Storybricks interaction to make that really work. Because if the weather system works in Storybricks, that means everything associated with weather can just reference the weather system and what's nearby for what's going on in the world and how people should feel and what plants are, up and down at the moment and that sort of stuff.
Well, if you use I could see if having like we have control over areas right now, we could have a enter and exit. When we get the timers in and the and ors, what ifs, do a big layer over your plot of area for a weather effect, whether it's going to snow, whether it's going to rain, and just be a variable. I mean, not so it's not always there. Just, player comes on lot, starts a timer. 20 minutes later, it starts raining.
Yeah, actually, being able to do that with emitters would be great. Just being able to set up something that's rigged to the day-night cycle. When this day-night time occurs, shut off this emitter, turn on this emitter, so you can have that like morning mist rising off. You can actually have it like every 5 minutes, the lowest emitter turns off and the next one turns on. So you actually have something where it really looks like the mist is cooking off, in the distance. That would be absolutely lovely, and I'd love to see what sort of stuff people will, make use of to do that and to really be able to bring their stuff to life. There's I can't remember the name of not only the builder but the build itself. I toured it maybe a couple of weeks ago. Giant floating island. If you just search content creations on Twitch, you'll be able to find it. But the thing is, it's just this massive thing. It's got fog everywhere. It really feels like you're up high, you're up in the atmosphere. All the waterfalls and everything, and little water drips here and there. It has the perfect feel of environment. All it really would have needed is just a little light drizzle or something to just make it, push it beyond. And that's whether that would be a weather system thing or something that they'll get the props for. Just being able to control weather on our own claims would be great. Just having, advanced weather systems would be great. But it's something that I'm not too worried about waiting on for a while, because I want to make sure they get it right.
Do they have weather in PlanetSide too? I've never seen.
No.
H1Z1, they got weather.
Yes.
They're going to have seasons.
Yes.
Hopefully Landmark can, balance something out, having a change of seasons where, but right now you have the biomes you can go to.
Yeah.
So, would it make sense to have, snow in a desert during a certain season? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see why, why not? But in a jungle, are you going to get snow? No, I don't know.
That could actually be a really fun event. Is like it snows in the jungle and all of the wildlife just disappears. Like all the plants kind of shrivel. Like stuff doesn't respawn at the same rate that it would, and it gets snowed over for a little while. It actually has a physical effect on the area.
One of the things that I've been working on is that orbital system, and one of the things that I've been struggling with is I want to balance everything around the season of Frostfell, which we just passed by.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I was contemplating with my model system is how cold does it get everywhere on the planet during Frostfell? And you can get it, you can change everything in an orbital system, and you can actually make it so that, when it gets cold, when it gets really cold, it snows on the entire planet for a month or two or maybe a week or something like that. You can make it so that happens periodically. I don't started thinking about it. I was like, I'm from Florida. If it snowed in Orlando, oh my God, people would lose their mind.
Yes,
right?
they would.
So, I started thinking about that, and I'm like, maybe it should get cold during Frostfell, maybe not snow. But
that's actually something I was thinking about. Is different regions, maybe they don't have every weather type that happens. Maybe there's 2 or 3 weather states per biome. So it won't snow in the desert, but it'll have flash floods and lightning storms, and it'll have dust storms. You're not going to have a dust storm in the snow. That also wouldn't make any sense. But you'll have a snowstorm. You'll have a blizzard for sure.
Yeah. Blizzard going, lightning, snow.
Yeah, and that could actually be sort of a fun thing. Is as the AI system or the weather system kind of moves, it's on the edge of a biome, and you see it's snowing on this side and it's raining on this side because it's the snow butting up to the tropical jungle. That could be pretty fun. Actually.
Here's something I threw out there a long time ago, and I really haven't revisited. But in EverQuest Next, or possibly in Landmark, there's a lot of keywords, right? What if a nature keyword weapon, when you cast it, for a short bit of time, the area around you would become more green?
That would be
like
great.
Plants would start to grow, or appear to grow. Shadow, it would start to, or affliction rather, it would start to rot the things around you. As you use the weapon, over and over again in a small area, it just sort of changes things.
That would be pretty cool. But it'd be like a temporary sort of thing. It wouldn't be a lasting, just like short term, like the area starts to get. And I could see that actually working in a later ability system, like in the EQ Next stuff, Coralin is always pulling his magical powers from stuff that already is there in the world. So it could be that sort of thing. As you use more of those attacks and you toxify the area with more affliction, that wizards can then draw upon that for more powerful spells in the area.
Well, that's like having that area, as you're saying. I can't wait for Landmark to get that stuff so we can start testing around for EverQuest. Is voxels that cause damage. Lava, you walk across lava, it's going to burn you. The smoke in the area might choke you. The gas from one of the creatures that, abomination, will actually take away more health. Give us those areas that are controlled either by scripting, by NPCs, or triggering, to give us, allow us to damage ourselves. If I want to jump into a pit of spikes, let me get some spikes through my feet. Rather than falling damage from falling off my tower or flying off my lot, make something more sensible.
Rather than teleport us to the landmine room.
I think they'll have that when we've already got the regional selection, so we've got the area tool, so you can select an area and you can have a triggered effect, and if that triggered effect happens to be kill the player,
Right.
The player walks into this region.
But I want the actual voxel themselves to cause the damage.
So
if I paint lava on the floor, I want the lava to cause
they've said
fire
that.
damage.
That's definitely going to happen. They said
down the road.
Once lava actually has flow to it and dynamic fluid and everything, it's going to cook you. It is. You're not going to be happy when you see
Same
it.
time we get the dynamic water for the rivers and streams, stuff like that.
Yeah. That'll be really
But again,
nice.
you have areas, we have emitters emitting the smoke, combine them, as you say. Choking gas, you activate a trap, you're going to die. I want to see all this gruesome stuff that we can think of to do to each other.
For sure. Launch her into a death spot. I know people.
The torture that we will put
actually,
people through.
the best is the launcher through a death area that won't have a wall on it, that it doesn't stop their momentum. So they shoot through it, and then they fly for a little ways off the claim, off the wall. I actually had a launcher that could take me basically from the top of a mountain to the edge of the ocean. So that'd be the sort of thing that you just sit there watching your corpse fly and fall for about 20 seconds. I shouldn't have done that.
Well, remember at Live 2014, they showed the catapults as the working props. Still waiting on them too.
Yes. Well, they got to save some stuff that they've shown, but
it's just like plot versus plot warfare.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
You've probably
like
seen
you
that
said,
thread there on the alpha forums there, Daddio, right? The was it called Claim War? The Claim War server. Yeah. He had some really good ideas on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, I've been staying away from the forums. Basically, I've just been
idea.
following whatever patch notes comes up because the blueprint's been changing. Over the past few months, they've added stuff, taken stuff. So I'd rather watch their shows and listen to them telling us what they're going to give us, in the next week or two.
Yeah. So here's something kind of going a little bit of a different direction. Mini games and gambling. Not necessarily gambling like, real money or station cash gambling, but just having like the ability to play cards with people or have like a table-based game that you put in a little bit of copper and you may get more copper back or you might not get anything. Is that, and also just mini games in general, just like a match 3 sort of thing, just for people who are waiting for their friends to come back before they get back to whatever they were doing before their friend left for a moment.
I would love to see them. Star Wars Galaxy, I think, had roulette tables and slot machines that you go gamble with. I like mini games and games. Free Realms had tons of mini games. Very simple, very easy to play, just to kill time while you wait for people. So give us a card table. Let us play slot machines or poker with each other in game. So I think that'd be kind of fun.
I'm curious though. Like, okay, I think back to God. What was that game? Final Fantasy something. Somebody in the Twitch is going to say it right now. But Final Fantasy, one of the Final Fantasy games, I think it was Final Fantasy VII, had a card game.
8
that was
and
just
9. There was
8 and 9.
Tetra Attack and something Triad. They were both super fun, and I've actually concepted a hex-based version of those that I would love to do in Landmark at some point.
But you've got those ideas. You've got what's it called? League of what's it called? That game that they have, the card game that SOE has.
Legends of Norath.
Legends of Norath. You have that, but I'm curious if they could make a card game in the game where you could make the rules for the card game. I don't know how they would do that, but to make the capability of having some mini games or something like that where you create the rules setup for those kind of mini games. If they can create that, that's going to open up God knows how many, mini games. So you could have players creating mini games for use in casino on the claim that you can go and visit and get killed by monsters.
Yes. That would be pretty awesome. That would be. And then you get killed by monsters because you lost the round.
Or because you won.
Or because you won. Definitely one or the other. Man. It was funny how worried I was that, oh man, I got to get all of my ideas out because we're totally going to be under NDA and I'm totally not going to be able to do talk shows and it's going to be weird. And then by the end of the weekend, oh yeah, actually it wasn't even by the end of the weekend. I think it was when we were on the tour at Dave Jordson's office. It was me, Tobran, Tanlin, and Kaylest. I think that was when they actually were saying about the NDA being ready to go, or that they were going to, that things were running fine. The funny thing also about that is he was lamenting that Super Bowl Sunday, we can't get any servers up right now. It's going to be Tuesday or Wednesday before we can because nobody's going to get back to us. So it was really smart what they did with H1Z1 and not pick Super Bowl Sunday to put the game up and have to roll up more servers, because it would have been literally just a repeat. Dave would have been like, "Smed, I told you so," from across the from building 3 to building 4. Was it building 2 to building 3?
Yeah.
I can't actually remember the numbers of the buildings. I think they've got 3 buildings now, so I don't even think there's a building 4. One that used to be QA and some other stuff they just don't need anymore. So it ain't SOE. That's neither here nor there. Well, it's there, but not here. Talked about character attribute stuff, sci-fi props. Getting the Planet Side 2 stuff in the game would be nice at some point. Getting all the stuff from
we got some stuff. We got some stuff. We got the outfits, right?
That is totally not from Planet Side 2. None of those. Give me a pulsar rifle. Damn it.
I think honestly, like they said in the last Landmark Live, that they're going to be adding in more weapons that some of the weapons are going to be sci-fi weapons. So, it makes sense. Build the EQ Next stuff first because that's where, a lot of your focus is, and then throw in the sci-fi. They added plastic, so.
Yeah. Oh, and they were
Good start.
They were one
Start.
step ahead of me. I specifically said no boob plate. They have not given us boob plate. They've given us boob window. So Poro, I tried. But no, they've been good about like not having the, big busty, armor for no reason. But
Jugs.
jugs,
Lots of jugs.
yeah, seriously, the
Oh, come on. Remember when they were announcing and showing these styles back on the one episode, and there were people in chat saying, why it's so skimpy? Why it's so skimpy? You look at it, and that covers
Conservative?
a lot. Yeah, very conservative compared to other games that are out there.
Furiona's wearing a lot more now than she was in 1999. I will tell you that
She's
much.
wearing a lot more than she ever has.
Yes.
She's wearing armor, actual armor. It's like, whoa.
I'm happy to see that. It makes a lot more sense. And, I hadn't been calling it Boob Quest for the past, however many years because, the covers didn't have an elf with her boobs showing, on every cover of every box and expansion. Like, that was just... It always made me laugh. It's like, that's how you gotta sell the game. You want people to take you seriously, but elf boobs? Come on.
But you know what? I will have to say that if you look at the community of EverQuest, EverQuest 2, and hopefully EverQuest Next, I don't know. But at least Landmark, what we've got right now, it's a much more mature community. It's older. From what I've been able to see and what I've been able to glean, the average age of most other games is like 22, 23. You've got a big spread. So you've got your teens and you've got your older, more mature adults. But EverQuest's community is in its 30s and 35, somewhere around there. So it's got a much larger spread. And it's also, EverQuest 2 at least, much more female population than most other MMOs. So, Landmark specifically, I think it's got a very strong female population.
It does.
So it's attractive to a wide base of people and a wide group of people. So,
I know having two teenagers on my end, my younger son's playing like Call of Duty and those types of games, and my older son's playing a different game. Landmark seems to cater to the more mellow people, not player killing and stuff like that. I mean, even in the PvP
we'll see how that changes. We'll see how that changes
once it goes free to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll change a bit, but I don't think a lot.
I honestly, I throw this out there all the time. I think, and throw down money on it, I guess. Right now, majority of the population, builders, because there's not much else to do. Some people spend their time PvEing. Some people do still spend their time PvPing. But I think that when the game goes live and has the majority of the features, I don't think it's going to have the features that it needs when it goes live. I think they're still going to be implementing it. But say, this time 2016, it should be pretty well set. I think that 20% of the population will be quote-unquote builders, people who spend the vast majority of their time building. I think that 80% of the play base is going to be people who don't spend the majority of their time building. They spend the majority of the time visiting claims, jumping into dungeons, doing PvP, doing games, doing mini games, watching videos, engaging in the content. And that's a good thing. That makes sense because when you have an art museum or an art show, you have probably 100, if you have a good art gallery show, outdoor art fair, you have 100, 200 artists. You might have 800 people that show up. That's, a very different ratio. So, I don't know. I think the majority of the people, when the game is fully done and everything else, majority of the people aren't going to build. And I don't know.
I think the ability to create games and create level design concept is one of the things that's going to be very appealing as people really start to get into it more. The idea that somebody who's an aspiring level designer, an aspiring game designer, doesn't have to have the programming skills to show that they can make amazing content. Most places, you've got to be you have to be a programmer because you have to have made some amount of the game that you actually show as your feature piece when you go to job listings and stuff. It's a completely different situation. You're like, look, I built this, I built this, I built this. I can show you the process I did to do it. I can explain why I did them, and I can do it 10 times better right now in like a day. So,
Yep.
you need an artist who can work fast, who can concept stuff. I have a perfect concepting tool. Concept art, I can just crank it out with this. Real deal builds, real deal things, flow, gameplay design. I can work that stuff out. I can, normally work the concepts here, but using in-tool stuff, you just need to provide it to me and I can make it happen. It's big time. That's that's really cool. I wish I had that 5 years ago.
If Landmark, think about this though. If Landmark starts being that nursery for game developers, imagine what games are going to look like, built on players that played Landmark and who built games in Landmark. Imagine what games just overall in the industry are going to look like 5-10 years from now, when those people have that kind of nursery building experience, and they get that build up from there, and then they jump over and grab jobs on the game industry. That's what, $300 billion industry, and it's just growing. It's crazy.
Oh, I mean, just go back 10 years and see what games were 10 years ago compared to now, with what we're doing and what we have, graphic wise, logic wise, and computer wise. 10 years ago, computers were what we have.
What? 10 years ago,
what was I running 10 years
2000?
ago on a computer?
I had
2006. Wow.
NVIDIA
Windows 98.
GeForce
2006,
4
2006.
TI 4600 back in 2003. I was playing with. I got Windows XP that year, and that's when I got the promotion from SOE for PlanetSide 2 free access and 1 month of play for anybody who bought Windows XP. I had the right graphics card for it. It was the right place at the right time. I jumped in. Some dude asked me if I wanted to join the Raging Primates. Years later, here I am. Rock you like a hurricane.
Let's see if you guys can see this or not. I mean,
Nice. Nice.
right? And then you got Mech Warrior 2.
I've got that.
Oh, yeah.
Which I want Diggs to sign. And I got Mech Warrior 2 Mercenaries.
Nice.
So I mean,
Hey,
just how far the game's.
On that note, I said it in pre-alpha jokingly, and then I said it again in alpha. I'm waiting until somebody builds a freaking Mech Warrior, working Mech Warrior with Landmark tools. They're gonna do it. I know it's gonna be coming. That's gonna be awesome.
It'll be nice if we could create and make our own mounts. Definitely a Mad Cat,
Yeah.
Timberwolf.
If-
Stomping through the land.
If we're going to take it to the Wayback Machine, this is what I've actually got the play disc loaded in my computer right now.
Wow.
Might and Magic 6 from 1998. It holds up to today's games in a big way. That crew was making some fantastic stuff for their time. It's really a lot of fun. And as soon as I finish it, I've literally got the box for 7 right there to go on to. So I'm set. Like, I used to play these with my dad. Well, I'd half play it with him and half like be on the phone for 15 minutes when I'd be at my friend's place explaining where we're at in the game and where to go, and my dad was trying to figure out what was going on because we'd be playing it together. We've got 10 minutes. I am going to super speed round real quick, just some stuff that I wanted to bring up. Some stuff that, once again, this is stuff that I had talked about a year ago before we had a chance to play the game. Being able to paint over templates, like a surface layer over templates. Now we can do that. It's just, the surface voxels. On-claim abilities. Never mind. That one's... We already talked about that. Instance, we already talked about that. A melt tool, being able to melt an area rather than just smooth. A skew tool, that's actually something we've seen very recently from Voxel Farm. The ability to make a selection in an area and then kind of twist and distort it like you'd be able to do in Photoshop and Illustrator. Rescaling voxels, that's one that's been a hot topic recently. Extruding voxels, you have a surface, just pull it out further from whatever it
Right.
was. So if you've got a detail that you like, but you just need to move it over 4 units, you can just do it that way, and it'll autofill the material that you need to. And I think there was probably an auto hollowing tool that I had wanted at some point, but I can't remember if I wrote that down. Props that I had wanted: PS2 objects, Jaffa cakes and Earn Brew, because at the time I was on a show with Tobran a whole lot, and that's
Yeah.
his bread and
Jaffa.
butter, as it were. Jaffa cakes and Earn Brew.
God, I missed him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's. I'm waiting for him to be back from his little break, because dude's just awesome.
Yeah.
Kitchen fixtures of all types, bathroom fixtures, bottles, metal kegs, brewing equipment, but we could probably make our own stuff with microvoxels and emitters now. Laboratory props, test tubes, things full of different colored fluids, futuristic weapon parts. In fact, weapon parts for all of the genres, so we can make, even if it isn't usable, construct something that looks like a real weapon and a real arsenal on our stuff. Cyberware. I wanted something like a full featured functionality, something like the Matrix from Shadowrun, where you kind of jack into a computer and you're running around in this computer network. You aren't pulled into the computer. It's not like Tron, but you can still be attacked on the outside. But you'd be like going super fast in there, and everything would be like super fast and twitchy, because what goes on in digital space is way faster than what goes on in real world space.
Right.
If you go with the Shadowrun rules on that, something like that would be lovely, and that's kind of like alternate dimensions and stuff that we had been talking about a bit. I think we even talked about that on Theory Forge a little bit. Getting steampunk props, of course. Aquarium parts, working clocks, actual in-game clocks that show the real-world day-night time, so you're not walking out like, oh man, I've been in full screen on my one monitor with no clocks in the room. What time is it? I don't want to alt-tab. Is there a clock around? Oh yeah! That not having clocks in games is one of those tricks that we learned from World of Warcraft to keep people in the game. Telescopes, microscopes, binoculars, saving and loading selections, which was essentially templates. So what was that?
Binoculars would be real nice.
Oh yeah, that's something I've
But
wanted for
that
a
goes-
while.
That's just the camera thing that
Yeah,
you're talking about.
pretty much.
Like if you have that camera capability, then boom, you've got a telescope.
Basically.
You just move the camera. Yeah.
Yes, sundials, exactly, Tanlin, a real sundial.
Yeah.
There was coat surface. I already talked about that. Selecting materials by type. I only want to select the aluminum, or the not aluminum. We don't have that yet. All the druidium in my build, and change that with Ethereum. So you just do we would need a much smarter selection tool to be able to do that, because you think about doing that sort of thing like a magic wand select in Photoshop. That's not one box. That's a big sprawling area, especially depending on the settings that you've used. So that would require a more advanced select tool. Some sort of.
Well, you kind of got that. You kind of got that with Paintbrush, right? You got the erase tool where you switch this thing with that thing, right? So just select the area, click. I want drag this resource to that resource, and boom, done. Maybe that could work. I don't know.
Terrain fill tool. So instead of terraforming, we can use procedural terrain tools that will blend with the surface and just build up an area, kind of like you would do in Project Spark, or any like sim game that you have just a terrain brush or whatever. It paints the trees, it paints the grass, it paints the hills, it blends them, it makes it look nice. Something like that. I love and appreciate all the work people do in the terraforming. Andrew, like going way back, he was one of our best for a long time. Not him only, but he's one that I remember was working with Poro on the aquarium for a good long time when that project was going. So I appreciate that work, but at the same time, having an auto tool for people that don't have that time and skill would be nice.
I think they actually need to have that like soon, well before EverQuest Next comes out. Consider like you make a build, right, and you, instead of having to have a huge base to set it down and have it fill, you put the thing down, and the entire terrain just meshes to that and just blends to that and finds where the base of that is and just warps to that,
Yeah.
going up, going down, so that it looks and it just smooths everything out and it just terraforms the entire area so that that claim at that altitude actually looks normal.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it would have helped a lot even with the Karen stuff to have that functionality. Having the a ruin tool, basically you select an area that will then be, and this is probably going to wait till we have the mesh sort of stuff, but you basically say how broken up you want it, the sizes of the chunks and stuff, and then when you press the button to complete, all of those pieces fall down and they lay on the ground in place, so you can have realistic looking deformations. That used to be a functional bridge. I broke up the stone in selective ways, so now it's all crumbled on the ground, but it's all there volumetrically. That would be fantastic. I used to do that. That was actually Legends of Might and Magic, some of the first maps I was making. That was how I sealed off this this double helix tower that I was making. The top and the bottom stairs, you couldn't go out because I basically broke apart the area using kind of the sections nearby as a reference for the volumes, and actually it worked out pretty well. See, a couple more things here. I think that's it for this sheet. One last little sheet here. Wall paintings. Props to have. Broken and ruined versions of props. We have the nice versions of props, but damaged, worn versions of props would be nice too. A lot of the props and stuff that I talked about, the only one we don't have is scrolls and books, and as an item that you can write in and pass over to people. They'll eventually get that, I'm sure. Mannequins that you can put armor on, that you can put your weapons and stuff, have them standing there all tough looking. Even do something like the base system in DCUO where you can swap your equipment on the fly with one of your other kind of gear sets that you've gotten sitting in a tube. Moving tapestry, that was one that I asked for. One that I would really love to see is being able to add a ball with physics to it. I don't know how the mechanics of that would work, how it tethers, how it keeps on your claim, but just being able to have a bouncy ball,
Wrecking
a
ball?
rolling ball. Yeah, sure, one of those two, something, a pendulum motion sort of thing for sure.
I think that's part of the physics engine, like physics from NVIDIA, and I think that's coming with what's it called? Voxel Farm. They've got
Voxel
floating.
Farm, yeah, they have the gravity.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just a question right now of, like, they can't. If they implement physics, then everybody's claim it automatically has it, and so people start losing stuff, and then they've got to figure out: do they turn on? Do they turn off? What's the toggle? When's the toggle? How does it record your claim template? Does it record it before, after? And that's it's just a mess. So I think that's what they're trying to figure out.
Well, I'm thinking that, like they showed the balls dropping on some of the Voxel Farm stuff. You break a voxel, the ball will drop or roll down the hill,
Right.
or whatever. Trying to reset that
Exactly.
is going to have to be manual. They can't do it. Well, I guess they can, in a way, do it, because if you looked at PvP with the destroyed arenas and stuff, it would have to be something similar. So once the
Right.
adventure's over, there would be a reset switch for it. Once they're
But
done
you got to
playing
save it at some point in time.
I would
Right.
actually want to see, just give us a ball that we can apply properties to and use with linking and physics, or linking and triggering rather, and add some other things to, like take this ball, use a type of link called a tether, give it a length, bam, you've made tether ball. You hit it, spins around. Something, just simple stuff like that would be well, not simple rather, but things that practical
Or drop a
stuff
ball
like that.
on a launch pad and, it'll shoot away.
Yeah.
Or hit another launcher and bounce back and just have that kinetic motion going with it. That would be nice.
There you go. Or like a free throw shot or something. Make some hoops. Yeah, for sure.
Who needs card games when you have sports?
Yeah, for sure. So that's really it. Like there was 1, 2, 3, 4,
That's it.
5,
That's
6,
the
7, 8, and 9 little pages of basically all of the stuff that I had talked about a year ago. Now we've actually gone overtime, so I gotta cut it into 2 halves anyway. Hey, stupid camera, why are you not focusing? Oh well.
Pay attention to me.
So you know what? I we can probably go for a few more minutes here. I actually do have to wrap
Sure.
up a little bit because I got
Yeah, I got to get going myself soon.
So let's
Any questions from the chat?
there might have been some. If there's any that you see and you want to talk about, go for it. Chat if you folks have something real quick. If there's anything else that you guys, either of you, wanted to talk about that we had to skip over or didn't get a chance to talk about in full detail or anything, go for it.
Congratulations on your 1-year anniversary for
Hey.
the live rant, and hoping to see a 2-year one next year.
Oh yeah. Hours and stuff permitting, I definitely plan to keep this up. And I don't know if it's going to be a permanent thing or if it's just on patch days or patch weeks or update weeks that they're going to do the 10 a.m. show rather than the 5 p.m. show. I'm totally
Didn't
fine
they
with
say
that.
they're moving it? It's easier for them to do it earlier on those patch days, on Tuesdays and stuff.
Yeah, it was on the update weeks, but I'm not sure if the off weeks, if it's going to be at the 5 p.m. or the 4 p.m. or not. Either way, I'm still going to keep going with the same time slot. In fact, I've almost been thinking of pushing it back a little bit more than I realized. Well, actually, usually Wednesdays at around 8 p.m. I'm doing the other broadcasting stuff. So, yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, I do a lot of broadcasting. There's not only I put in 1,100 hours last year. Just after SOE Live, I joined up with this group called Who's Gaming Now that just goes through all sorts of new games, indie games, Steam games, green lights and stuff. And it's been a hell of a lot of fun, actually, from our community. Kremchek, who I met at SOE Live, he joined the WGN team as well. So also Noodlecat had been on for a little bit. So it's been great. All of the streaming and stuff, everything, being able to interact with the Landmark community over the past year, the Landmark and EverQuest Next community, and the H1Z1 community, and really all the various different game communities I've been associated with. It's been a lot of fun. All of the talk shows, the tour shows, just some fantastic times. So I'm really enjoying what the past year of live feature rant and what it's been associated with has been, and I'm really excited for the next year going forward here. Hopefully, if nothing else, I'll probably do an episode at the 2-year mark, even if there isn't the show going consistently at that point. It's like I'm gonna do it anyway, but I'll probably be keeping it going. Hopefully.
Hopefully, you'll figure out a way. Now my business brain's going on again. Monetize, but that'd be cool.
Yeah, we got to get people in here first. I think we only had as many as 50 people the entire show, which I'm totally fine with because
hey,
it's a weird timing.
Here's something to talk about. Okay, so what was something I've been watching? Player population in pre-alpha was the forum population in pre-alpha was around 3,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Forum population when we went to closed beta jumped to around 15, 20,000, maybe as much as 30,000. My guess, we go from closed beta to open beta, it's probably going to jump up maybe to 100,000, maybe 150,000. When it goes live, it might go as, after about a year, it might jump to around 1 million. So, 33 people right now in the chat might become what do you mean Diggs the year of Malachar? What? I don't know. So
yeah, no, I'm not worried about the numbers. It's going to be up on YouTube. I know there's a lot of folks that want to watch the show, but it just doesn't work out, or it just isn't a time that works for them. So I am going to be doing the other half of the giveaways on the YouTube version of the show here. So that'll be pretty fun. The year of Malachar. I haven't heard about that one yet. That's
this is the first I've heard of this. I'm scared now. We'll see. We'll see if Malachar can actually make a showing at SOE Live 2014 or 2015. Arian made a showing at 2014, so I might finish my cosplay for it.
There you go. There you go. All right. So you know what? I think it probably is about time to wrap up. We got one question here. It's a Landmark Live show changes time for. I was just asking that. I think so for at least the update weeks. It is definitely going to be at a different time. In terms of
Studio B broadcast.
Yep. Was it B or was it C? I think this one was C actually today, or not today, yesterday. But yeah, it'll be interesting seeing what all is going on. I think they're going to be having some events and stuff on Friday for the 1 year anniversary of. I guess that's the 1 year anniversary of Landmark Live, because the timing worked out or whatever that way. So yeah, be tuning in for that. Be checking in on the SOE official channel. Theory Forge, we're going to be having a very special episode, so definitely be there for that. And aside from that, I guess let's go around the table, let all of you guys give a little bit of who you are and where you're at, and we'll be wrapping it up here. So, Audranian.
I'm like, pass it off! Who am I? Where am I at? Let's see, I'm Audranian, better known on the forums as Arian or Malachar. Arian on the Landmark forums, Malachar on the EverQuest Next forums, unless you really don't like either of those people, in which case I'm somebody completely different and really cool. I've been part of the Landmark community since this time last year or before that, and working on some cool projects to try and get some ideas for EverQuest Next. So if you know about economics, or if you know about physics, or if you have an interest in orbital mechanics, yeah, really heady scientific stuff, let me know on the Landmark or EverQuest Next forums, and I could really use your help understanding some stuff.
Okay, I'm going to ask one real quick question before we move over to Daddio. So, mass is what determines gravity. What determines pressure? Is that how fast the planet's spinning, or is that something completely different?
Pressure is related to density, so the amount of stuff that's around you. So the gravity is pulling down on the stuff around you. So the more dense that the air is around you, the more pressure that there is, the stronger the gravity, the more that it's pulling down.
So it's based on atmosphere more than like atmospheric composition.
Right. It depends. It's
all right.
It's nice and complicated.
Let's leave that for another time.
The more stuff that you have around you, the more pressure that there is.
That makes sense. It's something I've been something about like scale and rotation of planets and other things. I'm still trying to work out the physics of. So I'll pick your brain about that later. But Daddio, how about you? How's things going on Route 66 there?
Oh, pretty good. I'm still trying to stream daily when I can. Just being a grumpy old bastard, like to play with the trolls when they join. And, you guys can check me out on Twitch TV, Daddio66, also on Twitter, Daddio66. I play some old music. I play my game nice and slow, and I play it the way I want to play it. So it's like, you play to have fun.
Don't call it old music. Don't call it... You have good music, man. It's a chill, Landmark is cool.
It's
that's
if
the
I did
that's
acid back in the 60s, maybe it'd be a little bit different. But it's just nice, chill stream, no pressure, so I enjoy having people come to my stream and chat with me. I don't care what we're playing, just got to chat. So, sit at home all day playing video games. I need somebody to talk to, so come and follow me.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, we're going to be bringing this party over to one of our former guests here. He's been on the show, and why don't you all give him a nice little welcome to Chip GM. We're going to be bringing the party over there, and I will see you all over there. Thank you all very much for coming. I'm not going to give a little detail of who I am because you already know who I am. And I will see you for the next show, Theory Forge, on Friday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time. I think it's going to be on Sog's channel. See you there. But first, I'll see you over on Chip's channel. Later, folks. I could make that ending more awkward. I almost want to, but no, I'm not. I'm gonna put up the slide and cut the audio, and just let that be that.